Bonjour tout le monde, il me fait très plaisir d'être en compagnie de France Lampron aujourd'hui, directrice mobilité chez Hydro-Québec. Hi everyone, I'm very pleased to be with France Lampron, Director of Mobility from Hydro-Québec. Bonjour France, how are you?
Bonjour Daniel, I'm really happy to be here.
So this year's theme for our annual conference is Target 2035, Cible 2035, and the discussion will be on, it's one thing to set a target, it's quite another to reach it. So from a Hydro-Québec point of view, how do you think we can reach this target of 100% ZEV sales by 2035?
So at Hydro-Québec, we have a multi-pronged approach to address the many facets of the electric mobility. So our most famous initiative is most certainly the electric circuit.
Yeah,
and
which we see here.
And yes, we're working very hard on accelerating the deployment of the charging infrastructure. So we have made our targets very public. So far we have targets for 2030. 35 will follow eventually. So we have announced that we are going to deploy 2,500 DCFCs and 4,500 standard charging stations.
Okay.
So that's the quantitative side of things, I would say. And we're also working on improving the customer experience.
Okay.
So we want our customer to have the best experience of the industry. So every functionality that we can add, every service that we can add to make it a better experience, we're on it. So we are putting a lot of effort on that, and we're also putting a lot of efforts on reliability. So unfortunately, as you know, in North America, there's a lot of reliability issues with the different networks. Yeah. So we want the electric circuit to be the most reliable.
Okay. You talked about a multi-pronged approach. So could you tell me a bit more about approaches or other things that Hydro-Québec does besides the electric circuit?
Yes. So we are targeting the fleets.
Okay.
So we know.
So light and heavy duty fleets?
Absolutely. So we will handle the fleets as the vehicles come to market.
Okay.
So we know that the electrification of transportation has to go through fleets, and we know that the operators are not completely
comfortable, maybe?
Comfortable is a good word. Comfortable to handle that challenge.
Okay.
So right now we are doing a pilot, and we're starting with school buses.
Okay.
And we want to develop a full concept to accompany these people to electrify.
So the whole ecosystem, you would say?
Absolutely. So the financing, the charging station, the software side of things, everything to help the fleet operators to take the electrifying challenge.
You work with transit as well?
Yes, eventually. So now it's a pilot, it's school buses, but it could be anything from public buses to taxis, let's say.
Okay, so from light to heavy duty, really?
Absolutely, yes, that's the approach.
Anything else that you are working on right now?
There's our research institute that is l'EREC, that is developing advanced battery materials. Yeah. So we hear a lot about the solid state battery. Yeah. So we have a team of world-class researchers that are working on that. So that's another thing that we're doing. We're also tackling the residential side of things with ELO.
Oh yeah, it's true.
So we want to be there to help people to manage their charging at home.
Smart charging management.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're also developing other things to maybe the multi-residential. So we're working on a project like that.
That's a challenge.
Absolutely. And the other thing that we want to work on is the interoperability of the different networks. Okay. So charging.
Could you tell me a bit about this?
Absolutely. So public charging is not a monopoly, as you know, so it's a free market. And Hydro-Québec is doing a big chunk, but we want the other networks to be able to join us in giving a better service.
Work together.
Absolutely. And we know that the key is interoperability. Yeah. So right now we're working on a project to make it easier for everyone that want to join the e-mobility challenge to be able to do so.
Okay. I mean, you have been at the forefront of electric mobility in Canada. I mean, you've been at this for many years. I remember back when I was in government, the first fast charging station was installed back in 2012.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things have happened since then. How do you see the evolution? I mean, personally, I mean, you must be proud of the work that you guys are doing on the ground on an everyday basis.
You know what is fun in the work that we're doing is that I'm working with people that are passionate.
Yeah.
They're passionate about what they're doing, and every day is fun. So what I keep telling my team is that our work is, our expertise is to do what we've never done. So
you're creating as you go along?
Yes, there's a lot of innovation. So I would be lying to you if I told you that I know what is going to happen in 2035. I have no idea. We know that we're going towards full electric. We know that it's going to be more and more prevalent, but how it's going to evolve, there's a lot of uncertainty still.
You're right. It's a work in progress.
Excellent. Yeah.
But nevertheless, I mean, the government, has set targets. They say we want. The Quebec government said we want 1.5 million EVs on the road by 2030. So I guess you have to adjust and you have to adapt. You have to make sure that you work closely with different partners, whether it's the government, whether it's private companies. I mean, so you work as a partner, don't you?
There's no other way to do it, really. And also internally at Hydro-Québec, we have teams whose sole purpose is to plan the demand. So there are people at Hydro-Québec and in other utilities, I'm sure, that are modeling the demand and that are making sure that the grid will be able to handle all that new demand.
Yeah.
So it's not only a transportation electrification challenge. I think it's a grid and a utility challenge.
An opportunity.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. There's another side of it that people might not know that much about, but I think that you work on education as well, because education, I think, is key. I've been working on that for decades. You have been working on that as well for a very long time. You do some education, you do some video, you do work on education to make sure that people are well informed, don't you?
Well, as we see, we're
exactly.
Today we are at the auto show in Quebec City.
The EV show in Quebec City.
Correct.
Yeah?
Yes. So we have a booth, and that's what we're doing. We're talking with people, we're explaining to them how it's working, and sometimes we have to undo messaging that have been conveyed by the media. So yes, let's not go there. But this is something that we do. So we're there. We try to be present at every show, and we try to be present in the community as well.
Yeah, and what's the reaction, from the public when they come to a booth like this and they start asking questions? I mean, are they surprised? Are they curious? How do they feel about the fact that Hydro-Québec is so invested in electric mobility?
Well, there is a bias.
Okay.
I think it's the right word.
There's a bias.
Because the people that come to us are EV enthusiastic.
Okay.
So they're
and EV curious as well, I guess.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
So they want to know, and they're happy to talk about it, and they're happy to get information, and they have questions. So it's usually a very pleasant experience.
Okay, that's great. And you get, I mean, on social media, I mean, some people might be positives, other negatives, but correct me if I'm wrong, but generally the fact that Hydro-Québec is invested in electric mobility, there seems to be quite a positive reaction from the public in general.
It's usually a good news.
Yeah.
It's usually among the good news. We could ask our media people, but yes, positive.
Yeah, and we are here, because this is happening while we're at the Quebec EV show, and I was at the Montreal EV show a couple of weeks ago, and I was stunned to see how many people there were. People really want to know more about electric vehicles, don't they?
Well, there's, I think it occupies media a lot now. And you know how it was. Years ago, we had to fight to get attention, and now we have the attention. So we have to do things right.
So we have to be up to the challenge.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, France Lampron, it was a pleasure talking to you. Merci beaucoup, France.
Merci, Daniel.